In this video, we're going to install Cisco's Unified Communications Manager version 8.6. Before we get started, you need to note that I'm doing this installation on an unsupported platform using VMware Player. Call Manager will install and work just fine. However, it is not supported for production. Additionally, the copy of Call Manager that I'm using is not licensed. It comes with what's called a demo license, which allows for up to 3 processing nodes and as many as 150 device license units. So it'll run, it'll support several telephones, but it's not meant to be in a production environment, and Cisco will not support it if you try and run this kind of a configuration in a production environment. So Call Manager, Unified Communications Manager, is a complex product. There's a lot of stuff involved. So the best way to get started is to really read and understand the documentation. I went to Google and did a search for CUCM documentation roadmap. The very first link that you see there gives me the documentation guides or roadmaps for all the different releases of Unified Communications Manager back to when they called it Call Manager. And I'll call it Call Manager even to this point. So the Unified Communications Manager documentation guide, which I've opened that link up here, and as you can see, it runs through all of the things that you need to do to plan, install, and operate the Unified Communications Manager system. Highlighted on the screen again is the actual installation guide. This document you need to read. You need to read it before you start trying to install the Unified Communications Manager. There's a lot of pre-installation tasks and quite a bit of information that you've got to get put together ahead of time. You've got to do this with some planning. One of the best documents to use to help you get a good grip on the overall process and how the whole thing fits together is the SRND, the Reference Network Design. There we go. The Reference Network Design. I open that link here. SRND runs you through how the thing is put together and gives you kind of a reference for how the network, how the architecture of the system fits together the best, so it'll operate the best way. That's the SRND. Beyond that, the actual installation guide itself is a document you need to read before you start doing this. There's a lot of information you need to collect up front. In the PowerPoint, I've got 3 slides worth of little information. Some of this isn't going to apply because you probably are installing this in a virtualized environment. Some of it will apply. And we'll see this as a part of the installation. One of the big ones, 2 big ones I'll focus on. First of all, the IP address and mask and gateway information. It is really critical that you get this figured out before you start trying to install the system, because changing the IP address, mask, gateway, or the host name is a very difficult process. It's not impossible. As a matter of fact, Cisco has a document that tells you how to do it. It's not impossible, but it's pretty arduous, and you don't want to do it if you don't have to. The other thing that you really have to make sure you've got set up and ready to go is the Ntp Server. During installation, the Ntp Server will be checked. If the Call Manager software cannot reach that address or that host name that you provide, installation will fail. Okay, so one other thing about the installation. As a part of this, obviously, in the intro I told you I'm installing this with VMware Player. Cisco officially supports Call Manager installations using VMware's ESXi product on third-party systems and on the Cisco UCS system. They have a separate document, which, if I go back to the roadmap, I'll highlight the link here. Unified Communications Manager on Virtualized Servers, and you see here's I open the link up, and it's got you can download it as EPUB or PDF, and it runs through the requirements and processes for installing Call Manager, the complete system, on the different UCS systems that are available. Okay. All right, so let's get right into now, finally, let's get into the installation. I'm starting with blank VMware Player. I'm going to add a new virtual machine. I have put this installer on my drive. I made an ISO and put it on the drive, so it just speeds up the installation process. This is the operating system is Linux, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 5. Note that it's 32-bit, not 64. I'll give it a name, something besides Red Hat Linux. It needs 80 gigabytes of a single file in a single file format for the hard drive. Additionally, I have to customize this because the amount of RAM that's allocated by default isn't enough. It requires 4 gigabits of RAM. Now, that's quite a bit. 4 gigabytes of RAM is quite a bit. This computer has 8 gig on it, so I'm using half of the available RAM. I'm also going to change the network adapter from NAT to bridged, and so that way the call manager can use its own IP address, not rely on the host system. All right, so that's that. We finish, and now I'm going to play the virtual machine. I'm going to start it, and it's going to start the installation process. Now, it's Red Hat Linux, as we saw a few moments ago, and so that's what you're going to see on the screen for a while. At some point, after it starts booting up, it'll ask to do a media check to verify that the DVD is a good copy, just to make sure it can read everything. And then it'll load some stuff up and it'll start asking me questions. I'm going to pause the video while it runs through the process. This will not be a quick install. There's the media check request. I'm going to say no. This will not, as I said, this will not be a a quick install. So you need to have a little time set aside. I'm going to pause the video until the next question comes up. Okay, so the installer has gone through and validated that everything is okay, and it's telling me that Call Manager is going to be installed. It's going to ask me here in just a moment to verify that I don't want to do any updates and that I want to use the DVD to actually do the installation. Here it is. There's no version on the hard drive, so this is what we've got. Do you want to install this? Of course, I'll say yes here. At this point, Call Manager's letting me know that it's going to start the wizard and lead me through the setup process. There is an option, if you read through the installation guide, where you can set up an answer file to kind of speed up or automate the installation of Call Manager. In this particular instance, I'm not using an answer file, so we're just going to select Proceed. I have the option as a part of the installation to add on an upgrade patch. In this case, we're not doing that. So finally confirming this is the basic installation. I'm going to set the time zone for Chicago. Auto negotiation for speed and duplex are controlled by the host operating system. I'm not going to change the MTU size. This question is asking if I want to use DHCP to assign the address to the Call Manager. As with any service system, you probably want to use a static address, unless you're relying completely on DNS to do things for you. I'm going to say no. This does not take away the capability for my Call Manager to provide DHCP services to attached telephones. Here we have to set the host name, and the IP address of the device. Here we have the option to turn on the DNS client. I'm going to select no, because using DNS to resolve IP addresses in the voice network slows things down. Administrator, I'm just going to keep it simple. Obviously, you need to do this in accordance with your local network and security policies. This screen asks for the information necessary to create the SSL certificate for the web management interface for Call Manager. So I'm just going to add some random stuff. Again, this needs to be set up according to your organization's policy. Question, is this the first node in the cluster? It is, so it's going to be the publisher. And finally, the Ntp server. Now, this has got to be right, and it's got to be an address that the call manager can reach. You can set as many as 5, but this has to be operational. If it's not operational, then the installation will fail. Security password. This is specifically for multiple nodes to talk amongst themselves in a cluster. Again, a password means you need to be following whatever policy is in place for your organization. I'm going to turn off the option for SMTP. SMTP can be used for sending alerts. For this particular scenario, we don't need it. The administrator, the application username is for the different service accounts on the system, and I'm just going to keep that very simple. Oh, little fat finger. Well, I've got it really good and messed up now, so let me fix it. How about that? Okay, so we've completed the wizard. He's ready to start the installation. This is the point where it's going to take off, and it'll take a little while for this to complete. So here we go. While the installation goes on, I'm going to pause the video, and as I get to prompts that are of note, I'll come back in. And we're back again. This is what you're going to see when the installation routine is finished. In real time, this has taken almost 2 hours, and you're at the command line. There are a few things you can do at the command line, but obviously the management of Call Manager is done from a web interface. So I'm going to bring up Chrome here and make sure that that's going to work. So 192.168.198/CCM admin. It's going to give me a certificate warning, and I'll tell it to go ahead and proceed, and then here we should get the Call Manager Administration login page. Put in username, and password, and there we are, logged into the Call Manager. At this point, I'm ready to start doing the baseline configuration of my Cisco Unified Communications Manager. I'm going to wait a second to let it load. And there it is. Notice here that it says system is operating on demo licenses. Please upload relevant license files. We're not going to do that. I'm using the demo version here. If I go into System, Licensing, License Unit Report, it tells me units authorized and servers authorized, how many are available and used. Alright, and that's installation of Cisco's Unified Communications Manager version 8.6.